Come here, son, nephew, young man, let me holler at you. In regards to parenting, it's a taboo subject for educators because, we serve the communities. But I'm a parent also, so if I can't talk about anyone else's child, I can talk about mine. My son has had a chance to go to a regular public school in a lower income demographic, and he's also had the opportunity to attend school in a higher income demographic. And while it doesn't make a person a good or a bad person, he's gotten to notice differences in both. At the end of the day, for a community to function, what I'm learning is when you try to take a holistic community approach when improvement is needed, you can spend a lot of time bringing things to people who don't really want what you're bringing. Therefore, your community has to start in your home and with like-minded people. I've seen churches who serve meals and people only come after the service to get food. I've seen people only show up to campaign at churches. I've seen nonprofit organizations do all types of work where people see what they can get from the organization but contribute nothing to the organization. Shucks, I've been in political battles where the very people who asked me to step forward and represent them, they turned on me in the end as if I was their enemy when they enlisted or recruited my services first. And at the end of the day, you can control what goes on in your household. You can find your tribe, your group of like-minded people, and you can work from there. Now, people who have functioning communities already, they don't have that issue. But everybody's not so lucky, blessed in that position to have a fully functioning community. It's got to start in households, and it starts with parents. So what I've learned is, okay, instead of trying to solve everybody else's problems, let me perfect what I have going first. Then I'll get back to dealing with other people's stuff. So I make sure, and I always have, but I have a renewed focus now on making sure that as far as my DNA, my likeness, my children, that they're well educated, that they're well equipped, that they have every advantage needed in life moving forward that I can give them to make sure they have the best possible outcome. The best thing and the most impactful thing that I can contribute to society is a thinking, functioning child who will end up being a thinking, functional adult. If my son goes in the right way, in the right direction, I need to reward his efforts. There's a psychologist named B.F. Skinner, and you can look at his work on conditioning, because you want to condition your children for the desired outcomes, and you want to dissuade them from negative outcomes. If they're going in the wrong direction, it's up to parents to stop and say, what can I do different? Because whether you like it or not, they do what they see you do, not just what you say. If what you're doing isn't giving the type of results that they want, they'll find a different path. Communication with children is key. You know, you got to give a certain level of respect to kids too, because I think one of the most powerful weapons I have is that if I'm wrong about something, I apologize to my kids. I'll let them know, you know what, you were right. I'll let them know my logic on situations. Now, sometimes I don't have time right away. Sometimes I may have to say, hey, we need to get this done now and we'll come back later and I'll explain it. But either way, I communicate with them. I'm not the perfect parent. I just recognize that when adjustments need to be made, I make them so we can improve and keep on improving. I'll be darned if I'm sending my kid to some teacher who's raising holy hell and being disrespectful and causing problems, being unproductive. That's a total misrepresentation of me and my household. I will not have it. And I'm not going to uphold my child in wrongdoing either. I don't know where that came from. I don't know when it started. But me and mine, we shall have no part of it. And that's on me as a father. I thank God that my parents were married and they kept their situation together. I was married twice. It didn't work out that way. But I do the very best I can for my children and I take accountability for their outcomes. If I married the wrong women and got in the wrong situation and procreated with the wrong person, that's on me. If I have to work around those people because they're in a dysfunctional environment, that's my fault, and I have to address it. If I have a ex-wife who's trying to keep me away from my child, then that's on me to go to court and make sure that I see my child as much as possible. And you use the legal system the best you can, because men don't generally win in those situations, but you can make your impact on your child and they see it. I know a lot of people will say, well, that's the mother of your child. You shouldn't tell your child certain things. BS. I teach my children real world lessons with real world examples, and they get to see exactly what's happening. Because if I sit there and let my children grow up thinking, well, my dad didn't care about me, or my dad didn't pay for this or do that, and my dad wasn't there. No. Not only am I going to be accountable for anything that needs to be adjusted, but I'm also going to be accountable for what I did do right. And my children are going to know that, because they need to know that they're valued. They need to know what they're representing. Hey, this is the standard that your father set for you. So whatever you're going to do for your children, here's your blueprint. But your dad's there for you. There might be some obstacles, there might be some barriers, but nobody will ever be able to tell you what your father didn't do for you. That's BS, and you'll know it. And once the children figure it out, it goes on autopilot. At that point, nobody can tell them anything bad about their parent. My dad had all types of flaws. Some I'm still finding out about after his death. And guess what? You still can't tell me anything bad about him. My mom married a hell of a man, and she's a hell of a mother. And my father left a legacy in this world to where my mom's always going to be taken care of. We're still growing, we're still developing, but at the end of the day, she has a piece of my dad's legacy here to protect and provide for her still, even after his death. But that came from order, discipline, structure, setting an example, making sure that if I went off astray from the path that I was supposed to be on, that I got right back on it. As a matter of fact, my dad was so serious about me and my upbringing. I have a brother where we have the same father but not the same mother, and it's a very, very sad story. Unfortunately, his mom kept him out of my brother's life. Well, she didn't keep him out, but she made it hard for my dad to see him, and she refused to let him live with my father as a child. He's a few years older than me. By the time she realized, oh, this is a boy, he needs his father, my brother had already started doing things that were not what my dad wanted in his household. And he pulled me aside one day when I came home after school, because my brother was gone. And he said, look, son, unfortunately, your brother can't stay here. I chose the wrong woman. We ended up in the situation we were in, and I got to try to get your brother on track a different way, but you're on the right track, and I need you to stay on the right track. And I'm very afraid that if your brother is here, that he'll lead you astray, or just because you love your brother, you end up in a situation that could be detrimental to you. So it is what it is. And looking back on it now as an adult, I get it. I get it. I watch students where there's one brother who, might have some wayward ways, and there's another brother who's like an honor roll student. But I tell you what, you let that wayward brother get into a situation over his head, I bet you that honor roll student brother is going to say, look, whatever problems you think you got with my brother, you got a problem with me too. I done seen it with my own eyes. And that little kid with the halo over his head, them be the ones, man, people don't realize. I told y'all about quiet folks. So I get it, because that could have been me, caught up in some stuff behind love for my brother. We came out very different. I love him dearly. And it's a very, very complex situation. But I just thank God that I got to grow up with both my parents. And I'm just doing the best for my children to give them every aspect of that type of environment that I can give them, because that's the adjustment that I have to make, and that's the best I can do. Even after graduation from high school, see, I'm not kicking my kids out immediately. I don't know. Black folks, we have to stop doing that. We have to stop kicking our kids out the moment they turn 17 or 18 and put them into a cycle of debt. But I'm going to make that another video. But even still, you're still accountable for the child you put out there, even when that child is an adult. I could go on and on and on, but for any parent listening, if you aren't getting the results that you want with your child, hey, you got to look in the mirror first. You got to do something different. If you want different, you have to do different. And if you want different for your child, you have to do different. And guess what? If you don't do different for your child, they'll recognize that when they get grown, and they'll hold you accountable for it. If you won't hold yourself accountable, the world will. Please do right by these children. Please lead them on the right path. You want to see your community improve? That's where you start. And unfortunately, maybe some communities are too far gone. Maybe you need to relocate. But see, when you take accountability, your child will take accountability. If you have zero skills, zero talent, if you have nothing else in this world, you can take accountability and make sure that you're at the very least being a decent person. Being a decent person, being fair, and being hardworking, having a good work ethic, that'll take you far enough in life where you'll be okay. Dare I say, a person who's talented but has a bad work ethic or bad people skills or has a rude and nasty attitude, it catches up with them eventually. I know you're not seeing it sometimes now, and you might be looking at some people like, this person takes advantage or manipulates every single situation they get into. Oh, it catches up with people. I call it reaping what you sow. Some people may call it karma. You call it what you want, but it's real. You want to sow good seeds, as in your children, on fertile soil, which is their environment, so you can get the right type of fruit growing from your tree, which is your legacy and your representation in this life. I'm going to start putting up Linktree links so you can see the other social media platforms that I'm on. Sometimes there's slightly different content on each one. I'm still testing to see who watches what. I'm still learning my demographic. I would appreciate it if you like, share, and subscribe. I also appreciate your comments. Let me know what's good here, what's not, what's preferable, what isn't. Hit the dislike button if you don't like the video. That's fine. If it's not for you, I'm okay. I know that sometimes I gain subscribers and I lose subscribers. One thing I love about all of you who follow these platforms or follow me on these platforms and subscribe to my channels, I have good, productive people in my comments. I remember when I first started, I got these little punk kids who were trying to troll or whatever, and and adults in their mom's basement playing video games, making all types of weird comments and weird jokes. I'm so glad the riffraff got out early. I do this because I know there's people who can use this information, because I have kids who ask me for it. I have kids who grow up to be adults and who ask me for it. And sometimes in the community and in different places, I run across 20-year-olds and they just sit there and listen. And they're like, I could listen to you talk all day. Can I get more information about this, that, or the other? I'm not bragging. I'm telling you what I actually see, and there's painstakingly obvious that there's a need in the community for it. So I'm just trying to put some positive information out there. So you're welcome to share these videos, do reaction videos, whatever you can. I just want to see young men, old men, whatever men make it. And then I'll tell you another thing I like about these folks who subscribe and follow me. I learned stuff from people too. If you watch some of my commenters, they're sharing jewels, man, and I take some of this stuff and use it too. And that's all what it's all about. It's about growth and improvement as a man. And as always, never lose the will to win, never lose the will to survive. Thank you for watching. Have a good one.